PaGidi expressions. Say it, feel it, live it strong. PaGidi expressions. Where your voice belongs. Speak your mind, speak your pain, speak your truth out loud. PaGidi expressions, we rise, unashamed, unbowed. Every thought, every tear, every word you hold inside. PaGidi hears your heartbeat, gives your truth a place to fly. From silence into freedom, from shadows into light. PaGidi expressions, where every voice has right. PaGidi expressions. Say it, feel it, live it strong. PaGidi expressions. Where your voice belongs. Speak your mind, speak your pain, speak your truth out loud. PaGidi expressions, we rise, unashamed, unbowed. PaGidi expressions. Say it, feel it, live it strong. PaGidi expressions. Where your voice belongs. Speak your mind, speak your pain, speak your truth out loud. PaGidi expressions, we rise, unashamed, unbowed. Tell it, share it, let it flow. PaGidi expressions, let the whole world know. PaGidi expressions, your voice, your space, your home. PaGidi expressions. Say it, feel it, live it strong. PaGidi expressions. Where your voice belongs. Speak your mind, speak your pain, speak your truth out loud. PaGidi expressions, we rise, unashamed, unbowed. PaGidi expressions. Say it, feel it, live it strong. PaGidi expressions. Where your voice belongs. Speak your mind, speak your pain, speak your truth out loud. PaGidi expressions, we rise, unashamed, unbowed.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to the Neuro-Ambassador Fellowship training organized by the PaGidi Expressions. My name is Fafioye Faith Oyebisi, and I'll be your moderator for today. We'll be guiding you through a series of engaging sessions focused on understanding mental health, building resilience, and developing the skills needed to become effective neuro-ambassadors. Please kindly stay engaged. Drop your questions in the chat and ensure your microphones are muted unless instructed otherwise. Now, we'll be welcoming PaGidi Expressions for the opening speech. And PaGidi is a writer, a lawyer, a storyteller, and the visionary founder of PaGidi Expressions, a mental health movement dedicated to helping people navigate emotional struggles with honesty, vulnerability, and courage. With a background in law, leadership, and high-level organizational administration, PaGidi brings structure, clarity, and emotional intelligence into every conversation he leads. His own journey, marked by resilience, reinvention, and a consistent commitment to personal growth, has shaped his passion for emotional awareness and healthy relationship. Through PaGidi Expressions, he continues to influence numerous young adults across Nigeria by championing conversations that break silence, dismantle stigma, and inspire people to take ownership of their emotional well-being. Now, welcome on stage PaGidi Expression for his welcome speech.
2015, and like every Nigerian student who understands the difficulties of finding a job and cares about his or her future, graduating with the best possible result was the biggest deal and highest priority of PaGidi. PaGidi was the final year student of the Faculty of Law at the prestigious Olabisi Onibanjo University at Ago Iwoyi, Ogun State, Nigeria. He had high hopes of attending the Nigeria Law School that same year and being called to Nigeria Bar soon after. However, his hopes were dashed after discovering he had failed 7 law courses and was required to carry them over. This meant an automatic extra year in school, while his mates moved on to the next stage of achieving their goals. As if this was not devastating enough, At about the same period, PaGidi had his first failed attempt at love and relationship. He did not only suffer chronic depression from his academic failures, but also severe emotional and mental breakdown from his failed romance. He hated his life just as much as he wanted to take it. No one understands the misery and pain more than the one who experienced it. That is why, after PaGidi passed his courses and was called to Nigeria Bar in the year 2017, he became passionate about the plight of people in the throes of depression and began researching on the problem associated with emotional trauma and how therapy can help solve suicide ideations. Being scared of how he would be understood based on a self-defining approach to issues, he began writing down how he felt rather than talking about it, expressing his thoughts, fears, and feelings in writing and titling them as expressions. He would write about his sexual fantasies, relationships, problems, family issues, and his view about church, God, and religion. Over time, PaGidi learned how to use his unique writing styles and relatable stories to creatively write out his thoughts, post them on social media, and became both vocal and confident about the beliefs and ideas that previously gave him mental aches, emotional traumas, and disturbing problems. He told himself he was never going to allow anyone come between him and himself ever again, nor would he allow anyone dictate or control how he should live his life. And that is how PaGidi's expression began. Today, PaGidi is an ardent advocate of mental health awareness among teenagers, youth, and the working class in Nigeria. He runs PaGidi Expression, a stress mental and emotional therapy firm established in 2019 with a vision of offering well-balanced options and lasting solutions to the problem of suicide and mental health challenges in Nigeria. In partnership with leading mental health organizations, PaGidi has helped over 5,000 youth with their depriving challenges. He has authored 5 books on suicide titled Dear Suicide and has written more than 200 expressions. He's also the convener of the main mental health educational awareness, September Suicide and Depression Awareness, and MBS Lagos Bootcamp. PaGidi continues to passionately further mental health awareness through his straight-from-the-heart, non-conformist approach to controversial issues and his relatable experiences through organized forums and events such as this. PaGidi Expression continues to empower people and allow them to speak their mind, express themselves, be listened to, and to be understood, not just through written and spoken media, but also in person.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. My name is PaGidi, and thank you once again. Welcome to the Neuro-Ambassador Fellowship 2026. And today is not just the beginning of the program, today is the beginning of a responsibility that we have for ourselves, a responsibility to understand, to represent, and actively advocate for mental health in a world that still struggles with awareness, empathy, and support. So, but before we proceed, I would like to briefly share the story of PaGidi Expressions, the organization behind this initiative. PaGidi Expressions is a stress management and emotional therapy firm that is established in the year 2019. I mean, you've already watched the video, so I don't need to share much of the details concerning that. But the most important part of it is that we are committed to providing therapeutic and counseling services to teenagers and young adults within Lagos, Nigeria, and beyond. The main reason why we are here, which is the Neuro-Ambassador Fellowship, represents the organization's investment in building a sustainable pipeline of trained community mental health advocates, young professionals, and students who will carry this message of resilient brain into every school they find themselves, every home they find themselves, and every community they can touch. This fellowship is also forming part of a key broader flagship project, which is the main mental health educational awareness initiative. This is an annual campaign centered on taking mental health awareness advocacy, and education into educational institutions across Nigeria in the month of May, which is globally recognized as Mental Health Month. Through this initiative, we are not just creating awareness, we are building capacity, we are shaping perspectives and raising voices that will continue to echo long after the campaign ends. At this point, I would also like to sincerely appreciate the project lead for this 2026 fellowship, which is Mr. Abdurrahman Rutini Bello and his resilient team of volunteers. Your commitment, coordination, and dedication have brought this vision into reality. We are also excited with the heartfelt appreciation we are extending to our partners and sponsors, inclusive of Friends of Bronze's Foundation, Jola Havana Light of Purpose Initiative, Mental Health Support Initiative, among others. Thank you so much for your belief in us. Thank you so much for your belief in this cause. Thank you so much for your invaluable support in making this fellowship possible. So, our neuro ambassadors, this is your moment. I mean, you are not just participants, you are carriers of the message of resilience. And as you begin this journey, I want you to stay open, I want you to stay engaged and stay committed because you are not just building for now, but you are building for the future. Thank you so much for having me and do enjoy the rest of the session.
We'll be having Bello Abdurrahman, the project lead, to give us a welcome speech. All right, so while waiting for Mr. Abdurrahman, we'll be welcoming on stage the first presenter for today. Please, just to be sure that you can all hear me, can you please drop a comment? All right. Okay. Who's this man? When your mind feels heavy and your heart's in pain. All right, thank you very much for that. So, bringing now, we'll be having Mr. Ogwade Adefolari, who is a transformational speaker, a coach, a mental health advocate, and a business management consultant. Mr. Ogwade Adefolari is a transformational speaker, a coach, and mental health advocate committed to helping individuals' journey through healing, gain clarity, and step into purposeful living. He holds a degree in psychology from Olabisi Onabanjo University, a foundation that shapes his evidence-informed approach to transformational coaching and mental wellness facilitation. Adefolari is the founder of the Excellence Institute and the Excellence Campus Network initiatives dedicated to mentoring and empowering young people to live balanced, effective, and impactful lives. Through the Excellence Company, its transformational development and business management firm, it supports individuals and organizations in achieving clarity, excellence, and purpose-driven growth. It brings to every room a rare blend of psychological insight, coaching expertise, and a genuine art for people's owners, making him a compelling voice in the mental health and human development space. Now, welcome on stage Mr. Ogwade Adefolari for his session. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope you can all see and hear me at the same time. Please kindly let me know if you can see and hear me, please. You could just type in the chat box. Let me know if you can see and hear me, just to be sure, because I don't know if my network is okay. Good, good. All right. Thank you. Okay, so good afternoon once again, everybody. My dearest greetings to Mr. PaGidi. Thank you for the work you're doing, and also I want to thank you for bringing me on this platform. So much for me to be here and share with everybody. Also, I want to thank Miss Faith Fafioye. Thank you for your timely updates. Thank you for your very much. And I also want to celebrate all the ambassadors on this call this afternoon. You guys are heroes, you are champions, and trust me, doing this it's a great feat, and doing this is something to be commended for, and I celebrate you all for that. So I know that I have less than 30 minutes for my session, and so I don't want to take much of our time, and I don't want to go too deep into stuff. So I will just share what I have, as it applies to what I've been assigned to talk about, and I believe it's gonna be a most impactful session for us all. So I'm gonna share my slide now. Just give me a minute to share my slide. Mm, Just a minute, please. Okay, sorry, it's uploading. So see me, just let me know. Just forgive, type and let me know if you can still see and hear me at the same time. Please let me know if you can see and hear me, please. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay. I hope I'm still connected. Miss Faith, please, I want to know if I'm still connected. Can you still hear and see me, please? Okay, so see and hear me, please. Please, I want to know if you can see and hear me. And I want to know if you can see the slide as well. The slide is up already. Please, can you all see it? I'm not getting any response. Are you all there?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please, you can go ahead.
To people. Miss Faith, please, I want to know, can you hear and see me at the same time, please? I want to know if I'm connected. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope I've not wasted my time. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I've seen a response. All right. Thank you. Thank you. My apologies. The network was messing up. My apologies about that. So the slide is up, and I'll just proceed immediately. So thank you all once again for being here. And like I did mention, it's a great privilege to be here with you all and to be a part of this movement. Once again, I want to appreciate Mr. Pagidi. I want to appreciate Miss Faith. And so, not to waste much time, I'm just going to dive into my session very quickly. Okay, so I've been asked to speak on understanding the teenage brain. Okay, why it feels intense and how it works. Okay, now the first thing I want us to understand is that, and let me start by saying is that I'm not gonna do a deep work into the brain and all of that. The goal of this training is not for you to understand the brain, but rather for you to understand how it works and how you can implement it in particular studies and research going on about the brain. And so it's one of the most complicated organ in the body, right? Now I relate it to a computer system. Okay. Now a computer system is like can be related to the whole human body, right? You have the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, the CPU, and all of that. Now, well, when you interact with a computer, mostly what you are using is the monitor and the mouse, mostly what you can see. But there is a little system by the side that is playing a very crucial and critical role, and that is the CPU, called the Central Processing Unit. So I like to liken the brain to a CPU. It controls the human body, processing unit of the human body. Okay, so let me know if you can hear and see me, please. Okay, so what do I want to and how the teenage brain develops? Also, for you to be able to explain emotional intensity using science and to be able to teach students with clarity and confidence, not basically memorizing, but you understanding what it is about. And within the few minutes I have, that is what I want to achieve. Helping you to practically be able to relate how the teenage brain works and how they can understand it in their daily expressions and daily life. Okay. All right. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that the teenage brain is still developing. Now, the brain grows the same way, like I liken the computer, the brain to a CPU or the human body to a computer system, right? It grows. That is the same way the human body grows. And that is the same way, particularly, the human brain grows. It has been studied that the brain grows almost throughout the lifetime, right? There's a concept called neuroplasticity. Okay, and what neuroplasticity explains is that the brain can change in shape, size, and function over time. Now, one thing you must understand about the teenage brain is that it is not a finished adult brain, and it is still under construction. And the brain is responsible for thinking, for emotions, and for behavior. The basic function of the brain, it is called the executory function. The brain is responsible for thinking, for emotions, for behavior, amongst other things. But because the teenage brain is still under construction, it affects these functions in teenagers. Okay, it affects how they think. It affects how they feel. That affects how they behave, which them can do. That is the way it is. The brain is growing. Okay, it is developing. And so it affects the functions of how teenagers behave, how they function, right? So that is a key thing you need to understand. Is that the brain grows, and particularly in teenagers, the brain is constant buzzing around, not knowing that I'm disconnected. Okay, please let me know if you can hear me, please. Miss Faith, please, can you let me know? Anybody in the audience there, please, can you let me know if you can still hear me? Okay, good. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. I just wanted to be sure to know that I'm still connected to you all. Now, there are two organs or two. I don't want to go deep into what the brain is and how it's a whole big subject. It's something that can take you weeks and months to understand. But basically, for the sake of what this is to achieve, which is in understanding the teenage brain and how it works, there are two major part of the brain I want us to look at. And if you can see my slide, you will see uh, okay, these are both part of the hemisphere of the brain. Okay, the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Now, the amygdala can be likened to the emotion system. Okay, and what it does or how it functions is that it is fast, it is reactive, it is emotional, and it is fully active in teenagers. It is the emotional system. The prefrontal cortex is the control system. Okay, it is slow, it is logical, it is still developing, and it is not done until the age of 25. So you will see from what we have here that these two part of the brain affect how teenagers function because their brain is still growing and the amygdala is very strong in them. But the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for them taking decisive decisions, which is responsible for taking logical decisions, which is responsible for taking, wise decisions, it is still growing. So oftentimes, what happens is that they will often succumb to the functions of the amygdala more than the function of the prefrontal cortex. Why? Because the prefrontal cortex is still growing, it's still developing, and so they cannot fully express its function. So you would see that is why what happens or what is leads to is what is called impulsive behavior, and it is prominent amongst young people, prominent among teenagers, even some adults who are not self-regulated are still impulsive. Now, the reason why impulsivity takes place is because the amygdala is strong in them. So that is why you see them throwing tantrums. You will see them behaving in certain ways that are insensible, being irresponsible. They act before they think, and when they finish acting, and it is not the right action that they are supposed to take, then it begins to lead to regret. Right? So their behavior is often reactive. It is impulsive, acting based on impulse, acting based on emotion. Okay, let me proceed. Now, what is happening in the brain of a teenager at this point? The brain develops from back to front, right? And the last place to mature is the prefrontal cortex. And from study, it has been studied that that part of the brain that is responsible for decision making, for impulse control, for planning, for emotional regulation, is not fully developed until age 25. That means the age that an individual gets his brain fully developed is until age 25. That is quite intriguing, right? Yes, it is quite intriguing because it will begin to inform you why many people behave the way they behave. And that is not to say that even those who are above 25 still behave in the right way that they are supposed to behave, right? But essentially, it is very important to understand that the brain does not fully develop, especially the executory part of the brain is not fully developed until the age 25. Now, does this mean a justification for behavior? No, but it gives understanding. And this is what teenagers need to understand. This is what you need to help them understand that, yeah, you see, many of the behaviors that you don't even understand that you're exhibiting you're just impulsive. You just want to do as you like. You don't you have emotional swings and things like that, okay, is because your brain is still developing. That doesn't mean it justifies the behavior. Rather, it makes you understand a better way in navigating and regulating yourself. Okay, so because the brain is still developing and their decision making is still low, their impulse control is still low, their planning is still low, their emotional regulation is still low. That tells you why they behave the way they behave, and that informs you about how the teenage brain works. Okay, so I hope I'm not taking much of my time already. So let me just move on. Now, let, let's look at emotional intensity and impulsivity. Right? Why do teenagers or why do young people feel emotion more intensely? Why do they feel emotions more deeply? Right? When you tell a teenager, "Oh, I love you," especially when it comes to dating relationship for their age, right? When they tell themselves, "Oh, I love you," right? It is very intense. They take it to what? It is not like young people who has gone through breakups and I've had several breakfasts. They might not really count it as much. But young people feel it intensely, right? Words get to them intensely. Everything gets to them intensely. Stress gets to them intensely. So, and why is this the way it is? Why do they feel emotion intensely? Why are they more impulsive? Now, the reason this plays out is because there is strong emotions but weak breaks. What does that mean? Remember, at their age, the amygdala is strong in expression, but the prefrontal cortex is still developing. It is not fully functional. Because of this conflict, they will feel emotion more intensely because the amygdala is at full work in them. They feel the emotion more intensely. Okay, and because they feel the emotion more intensely, and there is nothing that hinders it, there is nothing that controls it. That tells you why they feel the way they feel. That tells you why they act the way they act. Okay, you would see that they tend to have quick reactions. They regret after actions. Okay, they involve risk taking. They often have mood swings. Right now, you must understand that this is not a character flaw. It is simply brain development. Okay, like I said, the reason why this plays out is because the emotional part of the brain is fully functional, but the control part of the brain is still developing. This is the reason why they feel more intensely. This is the reason why they are more impulsive. It's like a car that has a weak brake system. The car can be running on high speed, but the brake is not commensurate to the speed. And so any little mistake, it can lead to an accident. That is the way it is in teenagers. They feel, they are intense in their emotions. Okay, they don't care what they think, they care how they feel. If they are hungry, they tell you they are hungry. There is no shyness to it. If they are sad, you will see it on their face that they are sad. If they are stressed, you see it on their face that they are stressed. Okay. The reason why this plays out is because the emotional part of the brain is fully active, but the control part of the brain is still developing. And that is to let you know that it is not an abnormality. Because oftentimes, what it does for young people who don't have this understanding is that they often categorize themselves being abnormal. And that is why we have people self-diagnosing themselves in our world today. Okay, you hear them saying, "Oh, I have depression." Who told you have depression? You are just sad. Or you tell them, you hear them saying, "Oh, a I have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. I can't control myself." If you don't have OCD, you don't know what OCD is. You don't know what depression is. You are just feeling the emotion as it is, and you're just seeing it as it is. You are just sad or you are hungry, and if they give you one nice meal, you will get better. So it is not an abnormality in them. It is simply their biology playing out the way it is. It is still developing. Okay. If I'm still with you, if you can still hear me, if I'm still making sense to you, please just let me know in the chat box just to know that we are together. Now, I added this part in my slide of why friends matter so much. Okay, and the reason friends matter so much, especially for young people, for teenagers, is because their reward system is highly sensitive, and because they get pleasure from connection, they get pleasure from their esteem tank is still being filled, and the way they feel that esteem is through other people's perception, through friends. Now it says here that during adolescence, the brain reward pathway are more active than any other life stage, right? So being accepted by peers triggers a strong response. Okay. Now, social approval releases more dopamine. Now, at this point, they are more inclined to pleasure. They don't like pain. They don't like suffering. They just want to enjoy themselves. They want to express themselves as much as they want to. So they have a drive for pleasure, right? So and social approval is one of the things that fuels that dopamine release, that fuels that pleasure system. So that is why we have things like, oh, 5 minutes left. Thank you, I'm running off soon. Okay, that is why the social media is on the, this social media addiction is on the rise, because they are just seeking connection. They want to have, they want to feel a sense of pleasure, a sense of connection, a sense of esteem through connection. Again, this is not an abnormality in them. It is simply their bodies, it is simply their brain, it is simply their biology seeking expression. Okay, but what matters more in you speaking to them, in you training young people, is to let them know that how they feel should not determine how they should act, because how they feel might not always be right. Yes, their brain is still developing, but they can regulate themselves. Because of my time, let me just quickly move on. So why stress feels overwhelming? Why does stress feels overwhelming for them? It is because stress is a biologic system, okay, a biological response, sorry, and the teen brain is more reactive. Now, there are some things that play out during stressful situations for teenagers. Okay, there's what we call cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and it builds up under pressure. So, and because they feel intensely, any slight pressure, any small pressure, any small stress, they are already overwhelmed. They are already stressed. Okay. Also, they have an adrenaline release. Fight or flight. It's called a flight or a fight or flight hormone. Okay. And what it does is that it helps them navigate social threat. It helps them navigate pressure. Helps them navigate stress. Anything that feels stressful, their adrenaline kicks in, and they just want to remove themselves from it immediately. And anything that feels excited, that feels pleasurable, their adrenaline also kicks in, and they just want to plunge into it, not minding whatever it is. Okay. Let me move on. Now, what does this look like? What does it look like for them? They are suddenly overwhelmed. Okay, they have emotional shutdown. They have difficulty concentrating. They have sleep or motivational issues. Okay, you will see a family man being stressed but still carrying on his life. Man, trying to take care of his family. Working. Family pressure is there. A lot of pressure is there. But for a teenager, it's not like that. They can't regulate themselves. Their pressure level, their pressure tank or their pressure threshold is very low. So they feel pressure intensely, they feel emotion intensely, they can't control it. So imagine, a stress from school and at home as well. They are facing some stress at home. School is also stressful. You just see them break down, and they just can't help it, right? So and this is what many parents don't understand. This is what many educators don't understand about the teenage brain, about the about young people. It is your understanding that they are still developing, they are still growing, and it is important that how they navigate this moment is very important, so that it doesn't end up becoming abnormal in them in the future. So it is very vital how they navigate this season. Okay, as I round up, what should students understand for every ambassador here, as you go out to impact these young people, as you go out to train them, to enlighten them, to help them, what you need them to understand is this: their brain is still developing. Okay, uh, their emotions are real and they are valid, but it does not justify their action. Okay, they are not broken; they are just still in development. Good. My time is up. Good. I'm running up. Thank you. And feeling overwhelmed is biology and not weakness. Okay, so please, to every ambassador here today, I hope my time has been very worthwhile to you. I hope I've been able to impact you. But understand, for the young people, for teenagers out there, and even maybe for yourself, when you find certain expression in you, so some things you don't understand that you are still growing, you are still developing. It is not an abnormality, and it is not a justification for misbehavior or for irresponsibility, but it is for you to understand that this is who I am. I am still growing, but I can do better. I can regulate myself. Because of my time, I won't be able to share 3 things I prepared to share with you, which is not in my slide, about how teenagers can regulate themselves. But thank you for your time. Thank you, PaGidi Expression, for this opportunity one more time. Thank you, Miss Faith Fafioye. It's a great privilege to be here with you all. Thank you to every ambassador here. Thank you all, and God bless you. And see you out there. God bless you. Bye. Thank you.
We'll be having Mr. Oluwole Eniola. Mr. Oluwole Eniola is a researcher in industrial and organization psychology with a specific focus on workplace psychopathology, the intersection of mental health, organizational behavior, and professional performance. As a therapist with the Mental Health Support Initiative OOU chapter, he brings a unique dual lens to mental health advocacy, understanding both the structural environment that shapes psychological well-being and the individual therapeutic work that restores it. His session on leadership and professional identity challenges neuro-ambassadors to think beyond the training room and into the long-term sustainability of their advocacy. Please, let's welcome on stage Mr. Oluwole Eniola for his session. Okay, so while we wait for Mr. Oluwole Eniola, please let's everyone pay attention to this session. There'll be a certificate, and certificate is strictly by attendance. We'll be taking the attendance during the course of this session. A link will be dropped in the live chat with a code. Please let's pay attention because the code is very important in order to be able to submit. Thank you very much. Mr. Oluwole Eniola, you can have the floor, sir.
You were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person to value. You stayed, tried, gave more, hoping things would change. But deep inside, you knew something was breaking.
Before it falls apart, every relationship looks perfect until it isn't. Until the misunderstandings, the emotional distance, the quiet pain. But what if you knew where to go before everything falls apart?
Where do people go when they have relationship problems is the emotional truth nobody talks about. Inspired by PaGidi's life story as a lawyer and mental health advocate.
And co-created with Uche A.
This book their heart is in trouble.
This ebook uncovers truths most couples never talk about.
Inside this book, you will finally understand why people withdraw emotionally, how relationships lose connection, when to keep fighting and when to walk away, and the truth about the choices people make in love.
It will open your eyes, strengthen your mind, and transform how you learn. Don't wait for damage you can prevent.
This book will give you clarity. It will give you answers. It will give you peace. Because confusion is heavy, but truth is free.
Get your copy of Where Do People Go When They Have Relationship Problems.
Download your copy today at seller.com/relationship problem.
And choose clarity over confusion.
We'll be having Miss Agene Deborah Oluwatosin. Deborah Agene is a mental health practitioner and BSc psychology candidate with hands-on experience in both clinical and rehabilitation settings. She has worked extensively with individuals facing substance use disorders and co-occurring mental health challenges, facilitating both individual and group therapy sessions. Her areas of expertise include addiction recovery, relapse prevention, and psychosocial interventions. Deborah is passionate about promoting mental health awareness and delivering practical, evidence-based strategies that support long-term recovery and well-being. A session on handling student disclosures equips neuro-ambassadors with the ethical frameworks and emotional readiness required to hold space safely for young people in distress. Please, let's welcome Miss Agene Deborah for our session. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Faith. I hope you can all hear me. I'm so sorry I will not be able to share a video of myself because of my current location. It's such a privilege to be here this evening. Thank you so much once again. Firstly, I want to appreciate the organizers of this program. It's a wonderful experience. Thank you for the initiative of trying to educate young minds to make the society a better place. So I'll be going straight to the topic I have here. Breaking the silence, talking about mental health without stigma. I'll be rushing because of the limited time. I'll drop a document of this session after the class on the group. So let's talk about mental health. What comes to our mind when we hear the word mental health? You know, in a society like Africa, streaming it down to Nigeria, you know, when people hear the word mental health, they just think, oh, it's about madness, it's about going crazy. But that's not what mental health is about. Mental health has to do with an individual's overall well-being. It refers to a person's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. And this influences how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. And you know, our behavior has to do with how we cope in life with our daily activities. So the mental health affects how individual handle stress, how they cope in life, how they relate with other people, their judgment, and their decision making. So good mental health is not absence of illness, but rather it involves a sense of balance in resilience, our ability to cope with challenges, and some other factors that could affect our life. And when talking about mental health, our environment plays a vital role in shaping our mental health, especially in a place like Africa. Let's take, for example, somebody is going through depression and then they say, oh, this is what I'm going through. The first thing people would say is, have you prayed about it? Or have you spoken to a pastor? In Nigeria, or let's say Africa, collectively, we are religious people, we are people of faith. But faith is good, but we cannot neglect the place of professionalism. Sorry. So mental health is not just about madness. It's not just about, oh, it's a severe illness. It includes how we think, how we feel, and how we cope in life. So when we hear the word mental health, it doesn't necessarily have to do with something negative. It can also be positive, when we have our mental health intact. So let's go to the first subtopic under this topic: cultural beliefs and misconception. You see, like I said in the introduction aspect, in a place like Nigeria, as part of Africa, mental health is influenced by cultural beliefs and religious beliefs. We cannot but state that fact. And all these beliefs comes with some misconceptions. I hope you can hear me. Kindly signify if you can hear me at the comment section. Thank you. And let me know if I'm going too fast. So these cultural beliefs and religious beliefs usually come with some misconceptions which shape on how individuals respond and understand some mental health conditions, like some mental illnesses. Many communities, we attribute mental health conditions to um, spiritual attacks, curses, witchcraft, ancestral punishment, possession by evil spirits, rather than recognizing them as medical or psychological conditions. And these beliefs can lead, to individuals to seeking spiritual interventions first. In fact, in my practice, in my little practice in this profession, most people, when they come around for to seek help at the hospital or at the rehab center, when we interact with them, they first report that, oh, we've taken this person to church, some to the mountain, some to the affairs, different places first. That's usually the first intervention we give in an African setting, and this is not very appropriate. you know we believe that it is better to go the traditional way or go the spiritual way rather than seeking help from mental health professionals. And this, over the years, has increases stigma. People can proudly say that, confidently say it publicly that, oh, I have diabetes, or I'm managing BP. But how many people have we seen talk about their mental health issues because of the stigma attached to it? Even if it is depression you go in for therapy for, you can't boldly say that to people, because once they see you in a psychiatric setting or a rehabilitation setting, they believe that, oh, this person is crazy or something is going on with this person, even if it's for something as simple as stress management. I hope you are getting it. So over the years, this has led to stigmatization, isolation of people living with mental health conditions. So such beliefs often delay proper diagnosis and treatment, making recovery more difficult, and it also reinforces some misunderstandings that surround mental health. And some of the common beliefs in our society today is that mental illness is spiritual or caused by evil spirits, or, oh, just pray it away. If you fast for 3 days and you pray for 3 days, you go to the mountain, you'll be okay. Or strong people don't get depressed. You see, when it comes to mental health, he is not a respecter of anybody. Anybody can develop mental health issues at any point. There's a thin line between being mentally intact and having issues with your mental health. It can happen to anybody, irrespective of your position, irrespective of your family background, irrespective of who you are. Some say, oh, therapy is for Oyibo people, it's only for the whites. We Africans, we don't do all that. But thank God for a privilege like this to educate ourselves. So mental health conditions are real, and they are influenced by biological, psychological, social factors, and anyone can struggle regardless of their strengths, regardless of their background. Yes, faith is helpful, but it should not replace the place of professional help. As much as we don't dismiss people's beliefs, that, oh, you don't discredit what they believe in, you don't discourage them from praying, but you also make them understand why they need to seek medical support. So I'll be moving on to the next subtopic, which says language that heals versus language that harms. So when we are interacting with people with mental health conditions, there are some kind of languages that could either heal them or cause more harm. Language that heals refers to words and expressions that show empathy. First, it shows empathy, it shows respect, it shows understanding and support towards an individual. Let's say somebody is telling you something like, oh, I feel so tired, I'm so tired of everything. You can't say, my brother, you're not the only one, no, everybody is going through it. Words like that are harmful. It is dismissing. You are invalidating that person's feeling. You should rather say things that would validate their feelings and make them feel heard and make them feel safe. You can say, oh, you sound like you are going through a lot right now. Words that would make them feel comfortable to even pour out more about what they are going through. I don't know if you can still hear me. Let's signify at the comment section if you can still hear me. Thank you very much. So some examples of statements that I'm here for you. Oh, that sounds really difficult. You must be going through a lot right now. Or you are not alone in this. We are in this together. Or you don't have to be strong alone. Or you don't have to be strong every time. Or do you want to talk about it now? Or it's okay to feel this way. Now, let's talk about language that harms. You see, language that harms, it increases shame, isolation, it discriminates, and it makes recovery very, very difficult. In fact, it even restricts people from opening up to you about what they are going through. Somebody is telling you something, you are saying, just snap out of it, or you are overreacting, or you have to be strong, or be strong. All those kind of words is common. People say it. You are telling someone about what you are. By saying be strong, does it take away the problem? No. What you have done, either ignorantly or unconsciously or out of innocence, is you have dismissed their feeling. Or you are saying it's all in your head. Somebody is sharing their experience and you think they are overreacting. So things like that shouldn't be done. These statements invalidate feelings, they increase shame, and they discourage help-seeking behaviors. The moment you do that to people, they don't even want to open up the next time. They don't want to come to you seeking for help. It restricts that help-seeking behavior. So let's move on to the next part: creating safe spaces for vulnerable conversations. What is a safe space? A safe space is an environment where people feel heard, they feel respected, they feel not judged, and they feel not exposed and ridiculed. You create an environment where they feel vulnerable to open up to you. They don't feel judged, they don't feel discriminated, they don't feel down. They know that, oh, when I talk to this person, at the end of the day, I'm going to feel better. And when we are talking about creating safe space, there are some key principles that we must not but look at. And number one is confidentiality. This is very, very, in fact, I would say it's the most important of all. As professionals, when somebody discloses an information about their health or mental health or something that is their private life, it is there's a duty on us to keep that person's information private and safe. You must not share it with other people without their permission. You don't gist about it. You don't just get home and say, if you see what one person told me today, in fact, that guy, it is illegal, it is unethical, and it is wrong. Except this information is required by the law. Maybe somebody has a court case and they've, come to you for some kind of conversations, you have some evidences, there's a court order that, release certain information about this person. Yes, those are the exceptions. Or if the person is going to harm someone or cause harm to themselves, those are the exceptions where you can disclose information about other people. Another thing is active listening. This is also another very important key principle in creating safe space. And active listening has to do with paying full attention to the speaker. You are not just listening so that you can respond. You listen to understand what the speaker is saying. You listen so that you can respond thoughtfully. You show genuine interest in that conversation. As they are talking to you, you are not just thinking about your response only. You are listening to them. You are involved. You are interested in what they are saying. You are thoughtfully thinking about how to respond, and your response is channeled towards solution, not just an attack on them. So that's what active listening has to do about. And it also involves your non-verbal cues. Someone is having a conversation with you, you are pressing your phone, or you are giving body languages that is showing that you are not interested in that conversation. So all those kind of things must be avoided. Then the next point, non-judgmental. Being not judgmental means accepting and listening to others without criticizing, blaming, making unfair assumptions about their thoughts, feelings, behavior, or experiences. You are not listening to be the judge. You are listening to make them feel safe. You are listening as a person of understanding, and you are listening to give possible solutions. Even if you don't directly provide the solutions, at least you can refer them to where they can get necessary help. Then the next point is also very important: empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. And you see, empathy goes beyond feeling sorry or feeling pity for someone. You have to put yourself in their shoes. You imagine that, what if I was the one in this person's situation? What if I was the one in this person's shoes? That is going to build a true connection with their experiences. You'll be able to attend to them as expected. Then another point is patience. Sometimes when we are trying to help people out of mental health issues, we tend to make some mistakes. We want to rush them. That after 3 months, this person should be okay already now. They should get over it. And it doesn't always work like that. You have to give people time. The way things affect us is different. The way we react and respond to things is different. Some people, what will take Mr. A 2 weeks to recover, it might take Mr. B a whole month to recover. It might take Mr. C 3 months to recover. That doesn't mean that they are slow or whatever. Everybody has their own pace, and you have to give them time to feel and process their emotions. You give them time to heal. And we are almost coming to the end of this class. So what is the takeaway for this session? Stigma silences people and worsens the problems. Words can either heal or harm. Small conversations can make a big difference. So when people come to you and they share their experiences, the things you tell them, it can either make them better or worsen their situations. And another thing I want us to have at the back of our mind is it is not every problem that you can solve. It is not every problem that you can solve, whether as a psychologist or as a mental health practitioner or as a therapist. You can only do the ones you can do. In fact, some situations, the intervention it needs is communication. You don't need to do any other thing. They just want somebody to listen to them and allow them express themselves freely. So the things you say can either make that person better or worsen their situations. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You communicate in clear terms, simple terms. You don't have to use big English. You come down to the person's level and try to provide necessary help. And when you see that, oh, a situation is out of your power, just refer to the necessary persons or personnel that you feel that, oh, they will be able to handle such situations. I hope that this session is insightful and enlightening. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, PaGidi. I can't remember the name now, but thank you so much. I appreciate you for this opportunity.
That session, it was really impactful. Thank you very much. So a link will be dropped now, and then the code will be neuro24. Please, neuro in capital letters, neuro24 together. Now let's have on stage Mr. Mr. Oluwole Eniola for a session.
Good afternoon, everybody. I mean, we're in the evening already, so I'm coming on. So I'm trying to upload slides. Good evening, everybody, once again. I am Eniola Oluwole. I'm very pleased to be here, and thank you, PaGidi Expression, for making this happen. Thank you, Faith. Thank you to all the founders of this movement. And this is not just another mental talk or mental gist. This is a movement to change the younger generation perspective on what mental health really is, how they can deal with it, how they can make it normal, and how we can make the best of our lives as humans, because that's what we are at the end of the day. So, my slides are yet to be uploaded properly, but once they are on, I will get to it. But while we're waiting for the slide, today we'll be discussing the biology of stress, from pressure to breakdown. So when we talk about stress, the I am already going too fast. Let me be sure that you guys are with me and you can hear me very well. I would love a reaction, whatever reaction it is I can get from you. Please let me get it so I know I am not doing this alone and I'm not just talking and you guys are like, what is he saying? I'm a very dramatic person, so but I believe you can hear me. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the feedback. Somebody signified that they can hear me. So I will be short with my presentation. And so when we talk about stress, stress is your brain screaming, but there's nobody else that can hear it but you alone. Only you can hear the scream coming out of your head, and you're like, what's happening here? But so stress is that feeling where your chest tightens and you find it hard to make rational decisions because you feel overwhelmed by some sort of pressure from externally or internally. You can build up pressure from yourself, and it could be from your environment. So stress is way beyond what we think. Uh, well, I'll take you through a more broader perspective on what stress really is and what are the biological implications. What really happens in the body when we are stressed? I'm waiting for this thing to come on, and once it's on, I'll kick into the slides and we'll have a good time together. Let me see. And okay, Anthony John can hear me. Thank you very much, John. Uh, my slide should be up in about a few seconds. So stress is you getting tired, even when you've not done anything, but you just did so. You've been all alone, and you still get this overwhelming burden that I'm tired. So, what is the biological implications? What are the physiological basis to understanding stress? This is what I'm bringing to you people today. And Mr. Ogunade Adefolari has done brilliantly to lay the foundation that I will build upon. Thank you, Mr. Adefolari, and thank you, Miss Debbie, for that session as well. This was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I want this thing to come up quick, please. Okay, waiting. It's almost up. It's almost up. I'm really sorry. I am stalling.
When your mind feels heavy and your heart's in pain, you don't have to hide it, you don't have to pretend. Speak out, reach out, let your voice be known. In this safe space, you are not alone. No shame, no fear, we're here for you. Every feeling you have is valid and true. Hold on, stay strong, brighter days will come. Together we rise, you are not alone. Mental health awareness by PaGidi and institutions, creating safe spaces, changing young minds and visions. Talk to someone, don't keep it inside. There's hope, there's help. We're right by your side.
Beautiful compose from whoever made it. That was brilliant. Thank you very much, PaGidi Express again. And yeah, let's get into it for today. So good evening once again. I am Eniola Holuwale. I am the conveyor for this session, and today we'll be dealing with the biology of stress. We'll look at what really happens in the body when we are experiencing stress. So let's get into it quickly. So, what is stress? Stress is a biological and survival response. Stress is just you living. That's simply what stress is, and it is triggered by a perceived threat or a demand. So this is what stress is. Stress is you dealing with your environment. Stress is you dealing with every interactions you make with people, you make with challenges, and you make with any other thing. So the thing with stress is it is automated. It activates your automatic body reactions. It is normal. Like you don't even know when you're responding. It just happens, and you're like, "Why am I being this way?" And it's just we'll get into it. It's going to be an interesting one. So, and when we are in this demand and responding to this demand on a very constant um, level, that's when it becomes a problem. Stress is just you living your life. But when it becomes a problem, is when it is prolonged, when it is so frequent, when it happens so often. And when it happens often, it is intense. Like it is taking the whole lot of you. So now that we have a scope of what stress is, let us quickly do a little chat of the types of stress. So stress in this situation will be classified into two categories. Hmm? We have the stress based on the duration and stress based on the effect. So for the duration, we have the acute stress and the chronic stress, while for the effects, we have the eustress and the distress. So for acute stress, like the name implies, acute stress. Don't mind my puns. I can be so sarcastic sometimes. So this type of stress are short term, immediate response, and it something's happening now. You're dealing with it now, and that's the end of it. Your body activates quickly, and then it just goes back to normal behavior. So an example is when you're feeling tense before an exam or a presentation or an interview. You're like, "There's problem here," but you get on with it, and that's the end of it. While chronic stress, this way it gets little twitchy. It is long. It's more. It takes more period that you experience this type of stress. The body remains in a prolonged state of alert. You're always on high when you are dealing with this type of stress. An example is academic workload, your financial difficulties, an unstable home environment. When you have assignments, not one, not two, not three, but four from different segments, you have a lot to deal with, and you have to meet all of them. So that is what chronic stress looks like. It's the long type of stress, while the acute stress is the short-term stress. And for the stress classified by effect, we have the eustress and the distress. On the slide, you can see that it's positive stress and negative stress. The eustress is more like a productive type of stress where your focus is increased, you have a sense of high motivation and energy. It's a type of stress that improves your performance. Like when you are about to finish a task and that excitement, how soon we done with this task, that feeling, that's a stress. But it's a good type, yeah. Well, the distress on its my AirPods are low. While the distress is the harmful one where you have to cope with it, you have to deal with it immediately, or else there'll be problem as well. So it leads to emotional and physical strain. And example of this is feeling overwhelmed to the point of anxiety, exhaustion, or even withdrawal. You're away from everybody. You don't want to interact with. This stress causes this reaction from people. So let's go to the fourth slide quickly and we go into this. So we are going to look quickly at this stress cycle. We use the general adaptation syndrome model to explain the cycle. It was developed by Ansel in 1936. Ansel is an endocrinologist that that's, that is looking out to study how the body reacts to stress. And the main point of his model is that there is a sequence, there are stages to how our body reacts to this stress that we meet. So he postulated three major stages. We have the alarm stage, the resistance stage, and the exhaustion stage. My slides are not well placed. Sorry, I apologize about this. So we have these three stages. So the alarm stage is where you get to know there's something going on. The first response to the stressor. Let me use a class scenario for an example. Your professor coming into class the first time in the semester, and it's telling you, we have an assignment for you, and this assignment is going to cost you money, it's going to cost you time and energy. The alarm stages, you recognizing this thing as, hey, there's trouble here. Your body activates the flight or fight response. Well, what are we going to do? Are we going to deal with this, or am I just going to run away? And your energy level just comes up quick. And so for the resistance stages, okay, now that I know this, what am I going to do about it? That's what the resistance stage is about. How am I going to go about it? My reaction to the alarm, that's what the resistance stage is just talking about. So our stress continues, but our body tries to adapt. Okay, we have an assignment, I have classwork to do, but I have to continue this assignment. So your body keeps functioning, but under pressure, you have strain. There's a strain of energy. So an example will be continue studying, managing multiple pressure at the same time. Pressure from lecturer one, assignment from. So it's a whole lot. So the third stage here is the exhaustion stage. When your body have received the alarm, you've responded to the stress, then your body gets uh tired, tired from your reaction to the stress. So after you've sustained your ability to respond to the alarm, the stress, I mean, then your body needs to re-energize itself. Your performance drop a little. You might withdraw from people a while, and you just oftentimes this is the stage where people get burnt out. So we'll get into every part of it, and now that I hope you people are listening to me and you're getting my points that I'm making. Please, I would love a thumbs up, a reaction, whatever it is, like from the comment section, that you guys are actually following and I am not being a boring teacher in this situation. Please, I would love that, please. Nobody's responding. Okay, thank you, Olabuju Baraka. Thank you. So let's get into the physiological part now. So I'll try to make this as simple as I possibly can. So the amygdala, that sounds like my primary school friend. Amdala is her name, by the way. So the amygdala is a part of your brain that is responsible for taking note of danger and your emotions. Stress, sometimes people often talk about stress like it's an emotion. Don't stress me while they are experiencing the symptoms of stress. Don't irritate me is what they are saying. Don't frustrate me, but don't stress me. That's what they just say. They make stress like it's an emotion, but that's because it's linked to the part of our brain that is responsible for emotions. So the amygdala is that part of your brain that senses danger from any anybody, from any external stimuli. So when your amygdala is the one that rings the alarm that problem is is on ground, and your body responds in line with it. So let me give you a breakdown of this. So your amygdala senses the danger, then it sends alarm to other parts of the brain. Then from the brain, hi, if you know biology, you'll be able to get my point very well. But if you don't, we'll still deal with it. We have the CNS and the automatic, the whole part of the brain system. So the amygdala sends signal to the automated nervous system that is responsible for the flight or fight response when dealing with any stressful situation, when dealing with a situation where you are to fear. So that's what the amygdala does. It sends signals to the brain, and then the from the signal sent, the body sends from the signal sent from the amygdala, the endocrine system then sends chemical reaction to your body that will enable you to carry out the necessary actions that will enable you to carry out the necessary actions towards that situation. So amygdala receives the signals, send it to the other part of the brain, the automated nervous system. Then the automated nervous system sends it to the endocrine system. Then that releases adrenaline or cortisol, the stress hormone. Then the body reacts to the stress, to the stressor. That's what it's called. The stressor, the thing causing stress. So the diagram here shows the amygdala before. Then the amygdala is receiving signal on a body in initial. There's nothing wrong with the body. In it, the amygdala receive the signal. Then the third picture shows a body that has been put to action, where the stress hormone has been put to action. So now let's talk about the body response. So when the brain gets that there is problem, there is something going on somewhere. Once the brain detects a signal, a threat signal, whatever it is, it sends um once the brain detects a threat or and sends signals, the body immediately activates its stress response system through the release of hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers from the endocrine system this time, not from the endocrine system to the body to carry out specific functions. So the brain releases the stress response system releases hormones like adrenaline. Should you run away from the situation or should you fight it? In a situation where you're fighting or you're running, regardless, the cortisol hormones are also released. These hormones are very, very important hormones as well. They help us focus on one thing. They stop the flow of energy from other parts of the organs and help you deal with immediate problems. So this hormone prepares body for immediate actions by increasing heart rates, speeding up breathing, and directing energy towards essential function needed for survival for that moment. So you're dealing with now. So for you to deal with now appropriately, your body needs to send chemicals that will help you do that thing. I'm the type of person that I've never seen a lion before, but I think I won't be afraid when I see a lion. That's just me. But if I see a snake, I'm running. So if I see a snake, for instance, am I running or am I fighting this or am I running from this? I'm running, by the way. I'm not fighting this. I'm running. So once I see a snake, my body tells me, am I running of fighting? The chemical the chemistry part of the body that does this is the adrenaline. It's an hormone that's released through the adrenal gland to the body. Then, if I'm running, it will give me the energy. It will help me focus. It will focus the internal energy I need on the parts I need them. If it's on my leg, the energy on my leg will be able to do the work I need it to do. The same applies to cortisol. When it is required, you get this energy you need. But the problem is this: when it becomes a problem is when this response is designed to help the body react quickly and effectively to dangerous situations. But if it is prolonged, if it happens too frequently, then that's where you have a problem. That's where you are going to face a whole lot of troubles on yourself. So let's go to the next slide quickly. Slide 7. So let's quickly talk about the cortisol real quick. The cortisol is the primary hormone that is released during stress. It plays an important role in helping the body manage immediate challenges by increasing the energy levels, sharpening focus, and supporting quick reaction. The cortisol sounds like a good thing because it is actually. It is a good thing. It is a part of your body that helps you stay alive, important for your survival as a person. So it helps you focus. it's an important part of you that helps you stay motivated. Stress is a good thing if you can think of it that way. But the problem is when stress is when stress becomes frequent or prolonged, the cortisol level remains high. Over time, this continuous activation begins to negatively affect the body and the brain. Your body continues to stay on alert. When you're on alert, it's just like let me take your phone for an example. Your phone rings when there's a call. You're not playing music this time. I'm talking about phone calls, and your phone is ringing constantly, and even you will get irritated at some point. Like, just shut up, shut up. But we live in a stressful situation where this ringing isn't stopping. It's just ringing, 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 ringing. That's where we meet problems, and we will discuss these problems, how to deal with these problems, all of this, your role as neuro ambassadors in these situations. We'll discuss all of this together. So, excess cortisol is associated with problems such as poor sleep. When you are in a high state of stress for a long period of time, your sleep pattern gets s- disrupted. Your ability to concentrate, your ability to regulate yourself emotionally, to even remember. Sometimes your friend can tell you something right now, and you're like, "Oh, you mentioned this. Oh yeah, yeah, yes, yeah." That I remember. It can be like that when you're constantly stressed. And one of the common signs of this thing I'm talking about, this fervent stress, is persistent fatigue. You will always be tired, regardless of how well you think you can deal with the situation, regardless of how well you think pressure is good for you. If you are constantly stressed, you will get tired at some point. So let's go to the next slide quickly. I hope we can deal with all of this slide with the time I have. Okay. So the next slide here we have is oh, I jumped from the effect of chronic stress. Um, Miss Faith will make this material available to everybody. So I will want to be quick with this presentation. So let's look at it from a more profound perspective now, from pressure to breakdown. So stress doesn't just start from quick, and you don't experience one thing and your whole day is uh, bad already, except if you have a poor ability to self-regulate. But so stress does not immediately lead to breakdown. It often begins with manageable pressure. And the thing is, pressure is a good thing. It helps us stay focused, motivated, even productive at some point. At the early stage, pressure is always, it's a good thing. We need it. But the problem is when the demand continues to increase without adequate rest or support, then that pressure can become a problem. It can lead to anxiety, from anxiety into depression, and many more disorders like that. So, if the situation continues without interruptions, the individual might reach a state of burnout. Burnout is a situation where you're emotionally exhausted, you have no sense of motivation, your performance over simple taxes. It's simple tax. I mean, hey, that was a big one line, but over simple tax reduced, and your sense of attachment is, I mean, detachment this time is so low. So when you see somebody being nonchalant, it's not because it might be their behavior. They might actually be suffering from chronic stress, and your role as an ambassador here is to recognize this thing. So we'll deal with all of this. So let's go to slide 10. So among students, what are the common stressors um, among students? One of the common stressors is time constraints. So your inability to deal with things within a specific time can cause problem for you. You need to deal with this task, that task. The overwhelming pressure from dealing with many tasks can lead to chronic stress and distress even. One of another factor that we can call a stressor is the social factors. Certain social situations or conflicts can cause stress responses, like peer pressure, social comparison, comparing yourself to another person. This can build up and turn into a stressful situation, and that's another problem on your on. So another one is academic demands. So when you have too many books to read, too many materials to read, many things are academically inclined, and your strength for academic works are not really high. That can come as pressure to you as a student, or as secondary school student, or primary school, everybody generally. Another factor is environmental factors. So noisy environments, people making. I have a friend that doesn't love noise, like she doesn't love it one bit. So lack of sleep, inadequate nutrition, and many other things like that can cause stress. So what's the link between stress and mental health? Being on a constant state of alert will lead to anxiety. When you're always looking at what's going on, you'll be so worried about what these people are dealing with that you won't be concerned about yourself. Another link between stress and mental health is depression. When you're suffering from stress too long, you begin to withdraw from people, and withdrawal from people and activities is one of the key symptoms of depression. So you get to read more about this when the slide gets to you. And I hope you people can still hear me. Hello? Okay, I have about 5 minutes left. Thank you, Faith. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So let's go to slide 12. So, what are maladaptive coping? Maladaptive copings are the bad type of responses people give towards stressful situations. When stress becomes overwhelming and individuals don't have the right support they need or the coping strategies they need, they often indulge in behavior that gives them relief temporarily, but it causes bigger problems in the future. So this thing I talked about now is what coping maladaptively means. So one of these things is irritability and aggression. Somebody who is stressed won't like stressed chronically won't want to indulge will be so paranoid, will not want to engage with you, will be so out of it when you're doing something as simple, even though it's something they enjoy once in a time. I'm talking from experience, by the way. I enjoy some things, but in a situation when I'm stressed out of myself, I become irritable. And when I make myself aware of these things, I regulate myself to know what to do and how to deal with it. Another coping that is maladaptive is social withdrawal and isolation. I think one of the contemporary issues with in relationship is either one part of the relationship being nonchalant or being withdrawn from the other person. This might not actually be from stress, can cause these things, even in interaction with your friends, with your peers, people you love. You might want to just everybody should just be on their own. And in a way to keep yourself relieved from these stressful situations, you might indulge in excessive screen time, like you're always on your phone. You're always on your phone all the time. So your eating pattern becomes disorganized. You might even indulge in substance use like alcohol or drugs, like becoming addicted to paracetamol, for example. Paracetamol is a safe drug. That's what I'm using. Some people get into hard drugs because of how they can deal with stress, or they indulge in pleasure seeking behaviors like masturbation, any behavior that will just give them pleasure, that will just give them a sense of relief over that period. So let's go to the next slide. Oh, my time is up. So there are many physical, there are many adaptive strategies to deal with stress. We have we have exercises, deep breathing, sleep hygiene, having a good sleep pattern, a good sleep routine, and eating good food. Not every time you eat one type of food, eat varieties of fruits. Not every time you take gari or anything that just keeps you malnourished and promotes your inability to think. So we've the last slide here talked about the physical way to deal with stress. Now let's look at it from a more mental or emotional point of view. So you need to be self-aware. You need to be able to pause, reflect on what's going on. When you understand what's going on, then you can tackle it appropriately. Another thing is positive outlook. A positive attitude towards everything will always change the outcome of that thing. Even though you are going to fight a war, but you have a positive attitude towards that thing. You're I'm not saying you win, oh, but the fact you have an attitude that okay is on the bright side, you'll be able to deal with it better compared to doing it with a negative perspective. So adaptability, you need to be able to adapt toward at any discomfort, at any challenges thrown at you, and empathy. So let's go to the next slide again. So we talked about it from a physical perspective, an emotional perspective. Now let's look at it from a social and relationship management perspective. So active listening. One of the things, sorry, you should be able to listen to somebody that is stressed, like, or you should listen or be listened to. One of the best way to deal with stress is just talk. Like, even though you don't feel like talking, like most of the times you won't feel like talking when you're stressed. But one of the best things you can do is talk to someone or be talked to. Listen, just listen to somebody talk about what they are going through, something interesting they're working on. Just actively listening to them without don't rush to judge. Don't rush to judge. Just listen, and you'll find this shift from being out of your depth to okay, something growing inside you to lighten up the situation. So have clear communications. You don't just talk to people anyhow because you are stressed. No, you don't do that. That's the wrong way to deal with people or interact with people. So you have another thing is conflict resolution. So approach conflict constructively and seek solution that works for everyone. Don't look at things from just your point of view and think, oh, this works for me, it works for everyone then. And be assertive. Express your needs, your opinions confidently. And but while doing this, you should respect the other person's perspective as well, or the other people's perspective. So what are strategies here to create a personal stress management plan? So one of the things I do is I identify the stressors. What is this thing stressing me? Then once you know this, once you recognize the problem, then it will be easy for you to tackle them. Then you choose your coping strategy. What works for this problem? Some strategies might not work for a particular problem. Maybe if you're the type that loves exercising when you're stressed, it works for you. Then you can do that. If you're the type that loves talking, you can talk. So once you have a strategy in plan and you recognize the problem, you should practice this regularly. So you should learn how to constantly put this thing in check. Like, okay, stress is happening every day. Okay, how will this help me relieve this situation? Then you seek support. You can't do it alone. You need people. Your makeup of yourself is not just about you alone, but yourself and other people. That's a simple truth I have learned to to myself. So you evaluate and adjust. At what level of coping do I need for this particular amount of stress? So your ability to adapt to this situation is important. So what are your roles as neuro-ambassador in this program? This is the main gist of the whole talk. So your role here is to be able to recognize signs of stress in others. So when somebody is behaving in a particular way, your ability to okay, no, this person is just being stressed. You can't expect somebody looking like to want to play with you instantly. It's something that happens with process. So your ability to recognize people's stress and even yours as well. You're someone too. So try to recognize this in others. Listen without judgment. You don't need to quickly provide a solution. It's good to be solution oriented, but just listen to these people and let them know what is going on and help them understand what is going on with themselves and how you can help them. So normalize conversations about mental health. So mental health has been a topic that has been attached with a lot of stigmatization. But Miss Debbie made a presentation on that and she did fantastic. And taken from her insights, you can apply these principles and make mental health a normal conversation. Encourage healthy coping strategies and guide your peers towards professional help when they need it. Recommend the therapist when they need. I'm sorry, Miss Faith, for taking so much time. I am sorry. So to summarize everything I have said, stress is normal. Stress will happen every day, but your ability to manage this stress, to deal with it appropriately, to help others deal with it, to help yourself deal with it, that's what matters. So I hope this session helps you reflect on how you've been dealing with stress and how you can actually deal with it better now and how you can help that friend deal with stress better now. So with this, I'll shut up my mouth and not take much of your time, take any more of your time again, because my time has been up a long while ago. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time for listening. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much for that session. Thank you very much. It was impactful. So right now we'll be having the question and answers section, and we'll be having the three facilitators for today's program. So please let's do well to drop our questions in the comment section. And then Miss Aganet Deborah, we have a question for you, ma'am. Olagunju Barakat asked the question. She said, in a case where the family of a client is still insisting and strong-willed on religious and spiritual interventions, despite the complications on the client's mental health, how do we desensitize them, ma'am? Over to you, ma'am. Miss Debbie Agene. I'll read the question again. In a case where the family of a client is still insisting and strong-willed on religious and spiritual interventions, despite the complications on the client's mental health, how do we desensitize them?
You don't have to hide it, you don't have to pretend. Speak out, reach out, let your voice be known in this safe space. You are not alone. No shame, no fear, we're here for you. Every feeling you have is valid. And
all right, while waiting for that to be answered, please don't forget to fill in the Google form. A link has been sent. Please don't forget, and the code remains Neuro-24. Attendance is very important for you to be eligible to get a certificate from this program. So please click on the link, and the code is Neuro-24. Thank you. If you have any questions, please drop the questions in the comment section so that they will be attended to. Thank you very much. Yes, please. Mr. Eniola Oluwole, you can have the floor, sir.
All right. Good evening once again. So, Olagunju Barakat, in a case where the family of a strong-willed on religious and spiritual intervention, despite the complication of the client's mental health, how do we desensitize them? One of the primary things we learn as psychologists is psychoeducation. teach these people how these things, how to know these things, only using in a very real is this. They meet the leader of that person. Let's say the person is a pastor of the church the person attends, wherever is this, or if it's a Muslim in this situation, they meet the imam, the chief imam, or the head imam, and they explain the situation to him. They let him see how these things can help them in question. Then the um, therapist or the interventionist, intermediary between the problem. So coming with somebody, not just bring to teach them, just teaching the uh, family or the people suffering from mental health. It's the pastor doing the teaching now. So the ability of the pastor to do that will help them change their perspective. So and it will help them stay informed. Thing is, this thing they are bringing, that it's usually something. No, everything you believe is from God. So then bringing this to think you are bringing another solution to you from God through another way that you are not very well informed about. So I think that answers the question from Olaguju Baraka, or does it not answer you very well, sir? Ma or Baraka is a female. Have I been talking and nobody has been hearing me?
Thank you so much, sir, for that. Miss Barakat, please, are you here? If yes, can you let us know if your question has been answered? Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, sir. Do we have any questions from the audience? Do we have questions from the audience? All right. All right, thank you so much for joining today's program. Thank you so much, our facilitators. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much for the very impactful sessions where we all learned. Personally, I learned so much. And I think I now understand what mental health is all about from a very different perspective. Thank you very much to all the facilitators, and thank you, PaGidi Expressions, for this platform. So this session continues tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 2. We'll be expecting everyone. Please make sure you fill in that form before leaving, because the form expires immediately after this live broadcast. The form expires, and please, attendance is very important for you to be able to get a certificate. Thank you very much. Tomorrow's session starts at 10 o'clock. We'll be having 4 facilitators, and please come prepared with questions. We have capable hands who are willing to answer all questions. Any question about mental health, please bring them tomorrow. Thank you very much once again for joining us. My name is Faith Fafioye. Have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
When your mind feels heavy and your heart's in pain, you don't have to hide it, you don't have to pretend. Speak out, reach out, let your voice be known. In this safe space, you are not alone. together we rise. You are not alone. Oh, 2006 Mental Health Awareness by PaGidi and institutions. Creating safe spaces, changing young minds and visions. Talk to someone, don't keep it inside. There's hope, there's help. We're right by your side.